So Rog, did you grow up knowing you were adopted from the get-go?
From the get-go, yeah, which was good. So there was never any sense of, there's something weird going on. My mother even told me what my birth mother's first name was, and because I'm a genius, all I can remember was that it was a month, and it might have been May, it might have been June, and she might have been called April. And I felt a bit strange asking again, but my parents were very open about it, yes.
And did you, growing up, did you know other adopted people growing up around
Without
you?
being facetious, obviously I knew my brother was adopted, but no, it really took me until I reached secondary school to meet other adopted people. Most importantly to me, my girlfriend Elaine, when I was sort of 15 to 17, 15 to 18, she was adopted, and that gave us a really strong bond. Because one thing we're probably going to come on to is when you're adopted and you have problematic relationships with your parents, it's often a question of is this because I'm adopted? Or is it just because I'm like everyone else? And I have, and Elaine, this girlfriend of mine, she had problems with her mother, but not with her father, who's a terrific guy. And so we could talk about that and muse between ourselves about whether I had problems with my dad, who's a very assertive guy, bit too alpha male for me, and I had problems with him, and we could talk about our issues from the context of being adopted and whether that was a factor and to what extent it was.
Yeah. And does that factor into the what is nature, what is nurture? What's
Yes.
hardwired in you? What is...
Yeah, I mean, those questions, are alive, for people who are adopted and for people who aren't adopted, nature, nurture, what is it? I think for me, I always felt, I didn't feel like if my parents had children, it would be me. My parents are quite serious people. My mother's a very loving woman, still is. God bless. I, I did feel different to them, but not chronically so. It wasn't an issue. I did feel different to them. Elaine, this girlfriend I had when I was 16 to 18-ish, she felt very different from her parents and very much felt like it was because she was adopted. We talked about it a lot, and when she turned 18, she found her birth mother, and it didn't quite work out as she wanted. The birth mother was hugely keen to meet Elaine, and it was for her, it's like a miracle that this had happened. Her birth mother was great. She ran a bar and a rugby club, and Elaine and I stayed with her. She was sort of like this human oil tanker. She was tough. She was hilarious. She was strong, and but she wasn't what Elaine was hoping for. Because Elaine was just an 18-year-old girl, and she was hoping that her mother would be perhaps Marilyn Monroe or something. And whereas I loved Joyce, Elaine's mother, Elaine was slightly disappointed, and for me that was very informative because it made me think, if I'm going to go down this path at some point in my life, I don't want to do it in a way that's going to unintentionally hurt someone else. So I realised how complicated this issue can be.
Yeah, that you can have rose-coloured glasses,
Yeah.
or that
And
it can
the best
turn
will
out...
in the world,
Yeah.
and it can still turn out
Yeah.
to be more problematic than you think.
And when did you start? Did you start to become curious about potentially finding out about a birth family, where your birth mother was, or if you had your other family members, your extended family? When did that start?
That was a very clear day when after my experience with Elaine, I just thought I'm going to put all this stuff into a box and not think about it and just be grateful for the gift of life. And I really don't mean that glibly.
Yeah.
I am grateful for the gift of life, like there's no tomorrow. But then when my former partner Mel gave birth to our first child, Ruby, which was in 1998, so by that point I was 31, I saw what Mel went through to give birth, and it was a really difficult birth. it took like 24 hours in labour, and I thought, oh God, this is like really tough. And when Ruby herself was born at the end of this 24 hours, I felt more emotion than I expected to feel. I was like, oh my God. I didn't consciously think this is my first blood relative. But there was something really powerful going on. And again, that could be the same for anybody. But it's a very powerful feeling. But the combination of the very long labour and the miracle of birth itself made me think very strongly about my own mother and what she may have gone through, giving birth to me and then releasing me on the same day, and then going back thousands of miles to Australia, which is where she was from London on her own. And ever since then, I thought about it before, but it really has haunted me since then, because that's someone I owe a massive favour to, and I have always had the feeling I hope she's all right, and I've always had a slight bit of guilt that I haven't taken the trouble to find out if she is. So from when I was 30, it sort of started to become a bit more important.
Yeah, you kind of could maybe empathise or imagine what she had gone through to the point of being born.
In a much more vivid way than I could before.
Yeah.
Even though I was always, on my every birthday of mine, I was just like, thank you. But this was like, oh, this is really what it was like. What it may have been like for her. And, it really rammed it home to me what a huge, amazing thing she did for me.